when I first had what I would describe as kind of spiritual awakening experiences in my life, they were weird. I didn't know what to make of them, and I didn't really know how to describe them. And whether you grew up in a religious context or a non-religious context, and regardless of what you feel about organized religion, Hey everybody, I wanted to make a video today about the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, of course. But what I really want to talk about today is, what do we mean when we talk about God? This is a divisive idea, concept, right? I don't know where you grew up in your background in listening to this. I grew up in a pretty liberal, secular kind of environment in California. So when I first had what I would describe as kind of spiritual awakening experiences in my life, they were weird. I didn't know what to make of them, and I didn't really know how to describe them. But one thing I really want to touch on is that, we have so much conflict in the world that comes up around this notion of spirituality and this notion of a connection with a higher power and with God. I work with folks here on Maui that are in rehabilitation, and a lot of them do 12-step programs, and they get in touch with a higher power, and that's often a point of struggle and difficulty, right? Because it's, what does that mean, And one of the things that I do appreciate about AA and other 12-step programs is it highlights that it's a higher power as we understand him, them, her, it, right? And there are a lot of different languages that are out there and terms that we use to describe what I think traditionally in religion, or in Judeo-Christian Western religion, we call God. Some of those concepts that are out there that are in other spiritual practices you can find in the New Age include the universe, thinking about nature. In Ren Shui, which is the Qigong Taoist-based system that I teach people and coach people within, that's the common language that's often used. And in Ren Shui, it's always discussed that this is not really a religious or spiritual thing. It's kind of a science of, connecting with this totality, this wholeness. And I think that there's a lot of great things to be said for that. It really breaks down what's kind of a mystical experience or really opaque. We think about some, guy with a long beard up in the sky, and it really breaks those things down into a sense of, we're talking about wholeness, we're talking about the universe, we're talking about nature, like this, all of this behind me is an expression of the divine, of the beauty, the light of the universe, the Tao, the laws of life, right? But at the same time, that is also a language, right? That's a language that's being used to describe a really profound experience that we all have access to as human beings. And that I think, from my own personal experience, having worked with a lot of different people in a lot of different religious contexts and non-religious contexts, it's something that we all can relate to. This is so important because obviously religion becomes a source of so much conflict. There's war in the world going on right now. But we really have to understand is that we're all, in different words, talking about the same thing. And whether you grew up in a religious context or a non-religious context, and regardless of what you feel about organized religion, our sense of connection with spirit, with the divine, with God, with nature, with love, with the universe, with our higher self, all of these terms are pointing us back to the same human experience that all of us are seeking. All of us yearn to have that connection because it is a calling to us to come home in a way. And you can interpret that in a kind of a vague spiritual sense, but I really mean it in a very tangible sense, regardless of your background and belief, that when you come home to your presence in the world, in nature, and I'm just looking at it, then you start to see that we live in a beautiful place. We have such a beautiful life. We have such specialness that comes from our own connection with Source, with love, with a sense of meaning and care for our fellow human beings and for the world that's all around us, okay? And so I'm doing a number of kind of a series on this right now. I'm really excited to be working with folks who are in the journey of looking for a spiritual connection, who know on some level that what they are longing for is something that hasn't been accessible to them. Either they grew up in an environment or they live in an environment where, you know, these kind of deeper topics, spirituality, depth, are not a norm. It's more shallow, it's more superficial, it's more of the materialism and the day-to-day of everyday life. Or on the flip side, people who grew up in religious contexts where that religion didn't really resonate or work for them for a variety of reasons. And there's all sorts of reasons why that is, as is well documented. And I won't get too much into that today, but you can check out some of my other videos to see why and what's going on there. But the bottom line is, we all need this. You know, this is something. If you just look at the history of religions, you can see that really, man, this is something that we need. There's a big market for spiritual meaning. There's a big thirst in the world for connection to something profound, something that's more important than what we personally in our small world can connect with. And so I want to invite you, you know, take this video wherever you're at on that spectrum to just disentangle your connection with source, with spirit, however, whatever word resonates for you. Disentangle that from whatever ideas you have that are limiting, that are contracting, that make you feel like, oh, it's problematic to have this joyful experience and connection, and let it just be. Let it exist. Let yourself enjoy the beauty and power of this, of life, everything that life is offering to us. And if you can open up and embrace that, then you'll start to see that whatever term you use in referring to this wonder, this mystery of life, this magic that's at the heart of life, and whatever terms other people might utilize, you can actually understand them because you're a human being. You're part of life. You also have that connection, and you rely on that connection ultimately for health, for wellness, for good relationships, for a sense of reverence in your experience while you are here on this planet. And so with that, I just want to wish you well wherever you're at in your spiritual journey, wherever you're at in your relationship with God, the universe, and everything. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Let it pour out. Let this connection be present and actually be something that nourishes you, and figure out the details as we go along. And if you are struggling with different elements of what it means to have a relationship with the divine, put a comment in our video. I'd love to hear what you have to say and just get engagement from some of the other people on this platform. And let your conversation, let your experience, your exploration deepen in that way. As we do that, we'll all be on the journey together and into the experience of the mysteries and the beauty of life. Okay, I'm wishing you the best. Have a great day, and let's go out and have a good life. Bye-bye.